Hi again. All right, so it's been a couple of days. My voice is actually starting to come back. Yay! There's been enough fires around to where, in between the allergies and fires and the smoke and everything else like that, my sinuses got really inflamed really quickly. For about 3 days, I couldn't talk, and I talk for a living. That was interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you how to, or teach you how to make real ramen. Now, everybody knows what these little packets are. These little packets. Yes, it is the infamous 20-cent packet of ramen noodle that anybody and everybody has ever had in their entire lives. Well, the noodles are not that bad. It is these little things. This is kidney failure in a packet. Chuck this in the bucket, please. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make real ramen noodles using the provided noodles available and with scraps from your freezer. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the duck carcass into a crock pot with some water, salt, and apple cider vinegar. And this is going to sit for 24 hours on low. We want to bring out all the goodness. We want to separate all of this meat and fat from the bones so we can go ahead and use this for our ramen. Okay, now that the duck has been sitting in the crock pot for 24 hours, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to strain the liquid and the solids, reserving everything. I'm going to separate the meat and the grease and the bones. I'll show you what we're going to do with the meat and the grease. We're going to do what's called a confit. I do believe that's how you pronounce the term. And then we're going to use the liquid for our ramen stock. Okay, and here we are starting with the potted meat or confit. Once you separate the meat from the bones, you want to go ahead and add all the duck fat that you can separate from the stock. And we're going to go ahead and add some tomatoes, some onions, and garlic, and probably some rosemary, because we're going to make and can some potted meat for sandwiches. Kind of like the deviled ham, but deviled ham is pickled. We're just doing a normal classic type of potted meat. You're also going to want to add about a cup of stock to give it a little bit of flavor, and once this cools down it actually becomes gel, so it'll add like a nice binder to the meat. So let's go ahead and get started. About a cup. Make sure it's a little bit soupy, but not too overly. Now the onions. I'm not going to measure. We're just going to put a handful in. I'm probably going to add maybe one tomato. Should be fine. Just make sure it's really diced well. That should give it plenty of flavor. And the garlic. We're going to add about a teaspoon and a half, because we like garlic. Now you do want to taste this, make sure it has enough salt and pepper. And we're going to go ahead and add some rosemary to this to taste. And then we're going to go ahead and dice one of these up, put it in the jars, and process for meat times. Be right back. Okay, and here we have 4 half pints of potted meat for sandwiches. And we're going to go ahead, and since they're half pints, their times are just like a regular pint. So 75 minutes for meat times. Okay, so anything a pint and under is 75 minutes. And between a pint and a quart is 90 minutes. So let's go ahead and get these nice and sealed up. See you in about an hour and a half. Okay, and here we have 4 jars of potted duck meat for open face sandwiches. Sorry about this, I'm losing my voice. We've had a lot of fires in the area. It has actually affected my voice. And hopefully in a few days, whenever I film the ramen, I'll be able to speak a little bit better. Alright? See you in a little bit. Now that I have the duck rendered and the stock separated from the meat and out of the freezer, this is completely done. The bones are thoroughly discarded and enjoyed by the local dogs in my compost pile. We will go ahead and prepare the liquid, the stock, the soup, to be able to cook this into. Now I'm going to go ahead and do an Asian flair. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and do an Asian flair using my soy sauce, fish sauce, garlic, ginger, and a few spices. And just let you know that this is my go-to taste whenever I'm doing anything Asian style. You can make this in any way you wish, using any type of stock. This I'm using duck because it's available. I'm also going to go ahead and can the rest of it without the noodles. But you can make this any flavor you want. If you want chicken flavor, you can add chicken bouillon to it, beef bouillon. Just make sure that the sodium content isn't so high, please. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in this pot, I am going to go ahead and add all the ingredients, and we're going to make a big old batch of ramen stock, and then we're going to go ahead and cook a batch in here. I'll show you how that's done. So let's go ahead and put this on. I'm going to put everything on medium. And I've got half a gallon of the duck stock. To this, we're going to add 1 stick of cinnamon. The equivalent of 2 of these. Mine are getting down to the barrel here. I'm probably going to need to buy more. One chili pepper. We're going to add this whole because we're going to fish it out later. Kind of add like this, like a bay leaf. To this, I'd add probably about a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And an equal amount of fish sauce. ground ginger, or this is, sorry, the ginger on my mind. This is garlic. I've already pre-minced it, and it's in the refrigerator. I want to add about a teaspoon and a half, just a regular teaspoon, because, you know, garlic. And then this is actually preserved ginger. I'll show you how to do this whenever my ginger comes to the harvest this fall. There's a way to preserve the ginger, and I like the chunks for this because every once in a while, like, honestly, me personally, can bite into this nice warm slice of ginger. But if you want to use ground, you can, or powdered is just fine. And we're going to wait till this comes up to a simmer and let it sit and simmer on low to medium low for about 30 minutes. Let all those flavors marinate. Okay, now that this has been simmering and just marinating here for about another 30 minutes, I'll go ahead and turn this off. Fish out all of the herbs, the solid herbs that we don't want, like the cinnamon stick, and I'm pretty sure nobody wants to take a bite into that right there. But I am going to leave the ginger in there. Now, taste it, see if it needs anything. Plenty of salt. That's pretty good. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and show you. We're going to use the stock to cook the noodles, and then we're going to can the rest of this up. Alright, so I am actually going to go ahead and can them in jelly jars because these are the perfect size for a single serving. That way, if Grandpa Rebel wants some ramen, he can use this instead of having a big jar and having to use the whole thing. So let's go ahead and turn on that. Now you want to go ahead and just cover it, and I mean just cover it. While that is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and put these in jars. Let's see how many we get. Okay, now that I've got 6 jars filled up, I'm going to reserve the rest of this for my noodles. You can use any noodles you want. You don't have to use the ramen noodles. I'm going to actually use something called Zero Noodle. All right, excuse me, the wrong product name. It's called Pasta Zero. Okay, this is actually pasta that's made with mushrooms. So there's no wheat in here. There's no rice, cauliflower, anything. They're kind of chewy, so they do cook a little bit longer. And there's a certain way that actually it needs to be prepared, but it's what I can eat. It is, if you take a look at the back, it has 5 total carbohydrates per packet, which falls within the keto lifestyle. Okay, go ahead and break this up a little bit. It's not quite cooked yet. Now, I used to do this with my kids whenever they were younger. I would cook the noodles in the packet, which was bad of me. I do apologize. Didn't know better. Okay, but I also added other things, peas, carrots, things of that nature. Now I am going to go ahead and use, for this one, I'm going to add a few mushrooms and some onion with this. But you can add anything you want. Since this is Asian style, we are keeping up on Asian themes here. One thing that they like to do is actually add egg to this as a protein source. I have no problems doing that. We're going to actually go ahead and make this more of an egg drop soup type of ramen noodle. And while this is cooking, let's go ahead and finish up with the lids. Now, one thing about this is that you want to treat like stock. Okay, even though this was made with duck meat and duck, it just needs, for this, 20 minutes in the pressure canner. Go ahead and clean that up. And let's go ahead and get our egg, because this looks about done. This goes by very quickly. I mean, it's 2 minutes in the microwave. Okay, let's go ahead and get an egg out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and scramble everything. And then we're going to go ahead and clean off the fork, just like that. Drop a little bit in at a time. Let it cook up a little bit. Push the noodles aside. Drop in a little bit more. Push the noodles aside. Drop in a little bit more. And we're starting to see that white. And it's also thickening everything up. Get back here. Let that cook for about another minute. See the egg? It's nice and fully cooked. Just like that. And at this point, you just want to put it in a bowl and serve. And there you go. A little bit of comfort food. That's how you make real ramen. And this will be 6 more bowls for future. Hope you enjoyed. Experiment with your ramen. See if you can find something a little bit better than those stupid packets. I'll see you next time.